Hi friends, couple of hours back I have watched this movie, The Intern. It's an interesting and feel good movie. I would like to share my opinion on this movie. So the intent behind making this movie is to present how women face challenges in this cutthroat competition, male dominant, chauvinistic, judgmental society. But when we dig deep and dive into the characters and try to see the characters as an individual persons, we would be able to understand their emotional core and subtle character differences and subtle nuances that we could learn and understand and perceive from objective point of view. So that's the thing I'm going to do. So the film is a simple feel good movie with many layers. It talks about the importance of having a purpose in life, and it certainly talks about the concept of do not judge a book by its cover. We often underestimate the potential of elderly people. We think that they are fragile, but at the end of the day, if we really dissect and try to understand, the problem lies with us. We as young individuals started living in our own cocoons. We doesn't want to communicate. We give more importance to our privacy. Even though if we need help, we crave for it, but we hesitate to ask for it. And we are great in creating hurdles in the path of people who are trying to help us. While watching the movie, I was really afraid that we are talking about a 70-year-old person in the middle of the movie or at the end of the movie. People might show some kind of death, disease, some kind of catastrophe that we might have to ruminate for a couple of days after watching this movie. But the director didn't touch on any of these concepts. So let me share my opinion on individual characters. Let's begin with the character of Jules. She is an accomplished woman, but when we pay attention, she is very cold. She lacks empathy. She lacks basic understanding of human relationships. When we travel with her character, she accuses her mother of constantly being an intruder into her life, and she doesn't appreciate her own contributions. In many of the cases, she is quick to come to conclusion. She is pretty impulsive in her own judgments. Although the organization she established might superficially look cool, hip, where they doesn't have to wear office professional clothing, they doesn't have to obey the office rules. Anybody could talk to anyone. Everybody is being very chill. But at the core level, the organization lacks soul. She often mistreats her employees. She doesn't understand and appreciate her husband, who sacrificed his job, his career to take care of the child. She is in the wagon of entitlement. In a way, if we have to describe her, we could say that she is a self centered person. Although her organization might give this laid back, relaxed atmosphere, but it's only a facade. People do mind only numbers and the bottom line of the balance sheet. The basic plot explains that she is unable to balance her personal life and professional life because of her antics or busy schedule or over involvement with the business. She is not able to give the ample amount of time to her daughter and to her husband. Whenever we talk about the school stuff like being house husband, why should only women take care of the children? Why can't men stay at home? Why can't take this new role of the house husbands? At the beginning, it might look cool. I have seen in majority of the cases in India, after a couple of years, the coolness will vanish. You might be a man, you might be a woman. People are purpose driven. If you are not able to find a great joy and purpose in your life, you might not be willing to continue whatever activity, whatever role you took. So most of these cool dudes eventually find themselves in a hard spot that they no longer seem this role as cool or happening, might face challenges in continuing the relationship. So that's the same kind of situation Jules' husband faces. In overall this episode, the Ben, the character played by the Robert De Niro, acts as a stabilizer, as a calming agent. He brings experience and wisdom into her life. In majority of the scenarios, Robert never crosses the line. In one occasion, he sees Jules' driver taking alcohol. He doesn't banish him or he doesn't give any threat. He goes there and calmly explains the situation. You are not in the right situation to drive. Let me take care of your job for today. Why should you take a risk? So the way he presents the overall episode and the conversation was such a new breath of life. People tend to start to think that even though the other end party might be doing a wrong thing, most often than not, there is no need of crying or behaving badly or being aggressive with the other end party. We could calmly explain the situation and we could take control of the overall situation and as well as consequences. This movie giving me a vibe of a book that I have read many years back. I think Robin Sharma's A Leader Without a Title. You might not be a CEO or a manager or a team lead. If you really have leadership qualities, you could exhibit your own value in whatever role that you are assigned. Here, Robert is a small time intern. He doesn't have a great title. He definitely justifies the Robin Sharma's motto by giving us a live example of you could be a leader in whatever position you are. You doesn't need a fancy title. He exhibits leadership in his dressing style, the way he communicates, the way he shows empathy towards everyone around him. In majority of the cases, he doesn't judges anyone. He doesn't gives any uncalled advice. He shows genuine empathy and he acts like a positive influence on people around him. If you pay attention, especially during that hotel episode, she notices that you are carrying your own wardrobe. That gives a meticulous message that he is well organized, he is well prepared, he is not taking things for granted. There is a simple example of his professionalism where he talks with those boys and having a formal conversation about life. When he shares that he shaves every day, it is quite amusing for those people that that kind of dedication, that kind of a boring routine, how could anyone can follow? But it gives a clear distinction and differentiation between the ethics and ethos and basic discipline about people of the past generation and the current generation. In that same episode of that hotel conversation where Jules recognizes her own flaws, she does comes to understand that because of her difficult nature and constant skepticism and constant pushing of boundaries and being cold and unempathetic towards her colleagues and towards her husband and the way she perceives the things around her has a basic human flaw that might render her as a loner at the end of the life. She really despises the thought that she might end up alone. You see that movies like these sometimes work like mirrors. They does give us a chance to reflect our own flaws and try to understand what changes we could bring in our life to make our lives more fulfilling and how important it is to make sure that we have a proper work and life balance. At the end of the day, I would like to conclude this video with a suggestion that it's a good movie. You could watch it. It's a feel good movie. But it could have been better if they put some effort in character development of Jules' husband or some of the colleagues of the office. It could have been better. The ending could have been a bit more dramatic or wholesome, where people could have chosen Ben as the new CEO of the company. It could have given a new spin to the overall arc of the character. But at the end of the day, it's a nice movie. I really enjoyed it. I hope you people also find some time to watch this movie. Until then, this is Gautam signing off. Namaste.